What's up, guys? Gaonan here, and welcome to episode 7 of Drafting to Masters. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The bad news, drafts haven't been going as well as I had hoped. We're still in gold at this point after 6 drafts, which is abnormal for me. So that likely means it'll take more drafts than it normally does for us to hit Masters. The good news about this is that we will be creating more content because we have more drafts to get to Masters. So we might have to up the number of episodes per week, but we're still going to continue on the journey, make it to Masters, and make sure we record all the episodes so that you guys have a real idea of what it takes to hit Masters. I'm feeling good about this draft, though. I want to get to that diamond mark so that we can continue and get through this season smoothly. So without further ado, let's get into another draft. So pack one, pick one for episode 7, and we don't have a lot of exciting choices. Crest of Order is reasonable. It's an off-color crest potentially, or an on-color one, but those are totally playable, and Scout is a powerful ability in Limited. I don't really like any of the uncommons, and at the common I like Learned Herbalist because this allows you to fix for potentially splashing, more powerful cards. We've also got Illumination Wisp, which is just a solid 2-drop that can win you some games in the air. So I'd say it's between those three. For me, I'm just going to pick the Crest just because it's pretty likely to make the deck and the power level is decent. Interesting. So next we have a choice between Recon Tower, which allows you to once again fix for potential splash. Also can ping enemies away or just ping away at your opponent to finish out a game. Hoplite Barbarian, which is a solid 2-drop, one of my favorites, probably my favorite one that discards a card to create a spell. And then Wormstone is decent as well. For me, I'm going to pick this Hoplite Barbarian because I think it has the highest upside and it is a more aggressive card. So I prefer to be more aggressive and proactive rather than something like Recon Tower, which is a little bit slower. And Wormstone, even if you get the 7/7 out, it doesn't always win you the game. So I'm going to take the Hoplite Barbarian here. Next, we have choices between Rampart Arbalest, which is removal, can potentially get you a 2-for-1, Downfall, Enraged Arachnodon. Not anything that's honestly super exciting, so I'm just going to take Arbalest because I think it has the highest upside here. We have a second Arbalest. We also have Welding Torch, which I think is good, and I'd say those are where you should be looking. For me, since I just got Arbalest, I'm going to take the Welding Torch. Rakano is a place I enjoy being, and Welding Torch is an important card for that strategy, so I like it here. Snowfort Trumpeter is a decent 2-drop, even though it's not really a 2-drop, because you don't want to play it on 2. Now that they've upped the tribute on this card, you really want to try and get the tribute on it for the most value out of it. Drifter is an okay 1-drop. Oni Eulogist is pretty much filler, and Hair Trigger Pistol is pretty decent, but far away from where we're at right now. So I'm just going to stay on faction and take the Drifter here, rather than venture into a new color for Trumpeter or Pistol. This is like the 4th downfall that's been in these packs. I think I'm just going to take it here. It's much better than Won't Be Pretty, but I don't love this card. It's definitely a late game removal spell and can be dead in your hand for a long time if you have it early in the game. So don't love this card, but I think it's the best option for us. Alright, some decent choices here. I'm going to take the 2-drop here of Shamebear, can help us guarantee tribute if we need it. Like it more than Calligrapher and Robo Buddy. Sharpened Reflex is not the best of tricks, but I like it because it does at least give you a permanent increase on the board. Scout, once again, is an important keyword in Limited, so I like Sharpened Reflex here over Reinforced Baton. So it seems like we're in the right lane, all fire and justice cards here. I'm just going to take a second drifter because it's better than Rambot. Overheat, don't like it all, and Arcane Defenses, don't like it either. A third drifter is kind of crazy, so right now our deck is looking super aggro, and what's good in an aggro deck? Tribute cards, because you're likely to activate the tribute, so Oni Eulogist is reasonable here. And a last pick Spite Feeder. So I don't think we're necessarily like married to Justice at this point. We could still play something other than Rakano, but it is likely that we're in Rakano at this point. Looking at this pack, there are two cards that stand out to me, Groundbreaker and then Archive Curator. Strength of Many is reasonable too, but those are the two that I have my eye on. The issue with Groundbreaker is that it's very hard to hit triple fire influence by turn 4, but I still think I'm going to take it here just because we have no idea what types of time cards are going to come through. Polymorph is also a reasonable removal spell, but once again, outside of our colors. We do have the Crest, which could potentially help us splash it, but I'm just going to take the rare here and see how that works out for us. So that's kind of crazy that we see two Groundbreakers in a row. I don't think I'll take a second Groundbreaker over Finest Hour. Finest Hour is just a premier trick and probably the best one, so I think I'll take it here. Reinvigorate is reasonable as well as another trick, but I just think Finest Hour is better. And not much else in this pack for us to talk about. So interesting that there's no Justice cards here at all. So, and the fire cards are not anything worth writing home about. So for me, I'm just going to take the strongest card in Dark Return. There could be argument for taking this Violent Gust since we could potentially splash it given that we already have Crest, but maybe we end up Stone Scar and Dark Return is always welcome in that deck. So it seems like that last pack was just an anomaly. Going to continue down this Rakano path. We've got Guerrilla Fighter and Minotaur Oathkeeper. Minotaur Oathkeeper is great in an aggressive deck because it just keeps making your guys bigger than your opponents expect them to be. So I like Minotaur Oathkeeper here. In this pack, Grenadin Drone is probably the best card. Other option would probably be Powder Keg Rider. I think I like it more than Town Watchman just because Watchman doesn't do a lot for us late into the game. And given that we're pretty aggressive, I don't mind having Grenadin Drone. Once again, it'll help us tribute our guys and get the most value out of those tribute cards. Here, I will take Stalwart Shield over Town Watchman. I don't think Recogulator is worth picking here, so Stalwart Shield is an okay pickup. Another Finest Hour is fantastic, so we'll take that. Disassembler is a solid 2-drop, another one of those Granite Synergy cards that we like having, so happy to have that. Nothing here for us, so we'll just take the Infused Strike, Triggerman, Autopilot Picks, and Tinker, which we won't play. Alright, so here we have another Finest Hour, which is probably just the pick. There is also Slay, but we don't have a way to splash or fix for it at the moment, so I think I'll just take a third Finest Hour. Other option is Silverwing Smith, but I think Finest Hour is just going to be better for us. This is a nice pack for us. We've got Granite Acolyte, Frontier Confessor, and Hero of the People. Don't think we have many keywords to make Hero of the People great for us, so I think that's out of the question. And Confessor is pseudo removal for us, while Granite Acolyte is just the more aggressive card. So for me, I'm just going to take this Frontier Confessor here because the pseudo removal is going to be good for us to continue to push through damage and, in a racing situation, stop our opponent from having lifesteal or something important like that. Tranquil Scholar can just win you the game on the spot depending on what keyword it rolls. One thing that a lot of people might not know about Tranquil Scholar is you have the option to give a unit the battle skill that it rolls. So say Tranquil Scholar rolls Reckless, you don't have to give a unit in your hand Reckless, you can just hit skip, and that way you don't give a negative keyword to another one of your units. So just something that I think a lot of people aren't aware of, but yeah, really happy to see Tranquil Scholar here. Continues with this aggressive theme that we've got going on. We'll take Burnout over Protect here. We have a lot of units that we probably don't mind sacrificing after a certain point. This could go face for lethal as well, so happy to pick up Burnout here. Alright, some interesting choices in this pack. Copper Hall Paladin, or Copper Hall Porter is a solid 2-drop, gives us fixing to get to higher levels of power, which I don't think is super important for us at this point. We also have Scrap Hound, which has good synergies with Grenadin, can become a big issue if it's not dealt with. We've also got Gun Down, which is just removal, and we've also got Recano Banner, which is fixing as well. And given that our only Grenadins currently are Grenadin Drone and Disassembler, I don't know if we have enough to make Scrap Hound worthwhile. I think I'd rather just get this gun down for more removal to continue to push through damage at the end of the game when we're trying to close it out. Audacious Bandit makes more sense than Recano Flagbearer here. Bandit, if we spark, can just be an issue for our opponent to deal with. It's a very late Stone Scar sneak. Here, I'm going to take the Spirit Blade Stalker, helps in a racing situation. Could have Kopesh for a potential finisher though, but I'm just going to take the more solid Spirit Blade Stalker here. Another Audacious Bandit could be okay. I think I'm going to take this Powder Keg Rider this time as a potential top end piece. Don't think we'll play any of these cards. I'll take the Stone Scar Excavator. Also not playing Pit Fighter, Banner, and 2 banners. So we could potentially splash for that Dark Return, but we'll come back to that. Before we make a pick here, let's first look at our unit count to see where we're at, make sure we're on track, and where we need to fill in the holes. So right now we have 15 units, so definitely need to fill in the gaps there. The 3-drop slot is really where we're lacking. We have quite a few 1 and 2 drops, and then quite a few 4 drops. So we really need to pick up the 3-drop slot. For that reason, I'm going to pick Pyre Elemental because it can act as a 3-drop if you've got a 1-cost trick. Say you use Sharpen Reflex or Finest Hour on Hot Blood, or you use the Temper off of Hot Blood. Then you can temper something out of the way and then Berserk in with Barbarian and charge in with the Pyre Elemental. So I think it makes sense for our aggressive deck. Final Shot doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us, but I like it more than Crown Watch Recruiter, I think. It might just be the late game push that we need to close out a game, so I think Final Shot makes more sense here. Crown Watch Standard is fantastic, as is another Welding Torch, but I think having Crown Watch Tactic, which is a little bit more flexible, is more important. Here I'm going to take Ruination Sledge just because it's very aggressive weapon, works well with all the 1-drops we have curving into that, so I think I like it better here than taking Pyre Elemental or Saddle Up. We have quite a few tricks at this point, so we do still need units, but I don't think a second Pyre Elemental is necessarily what we want, so I'm going to take the Ruination Sledge. Master at Arms, however, is exactly what we want. 2/2 for 2. Yeah, we likely won't play it on turn 2 because we've got quite a few 1-drop fire drops, so no way we can go turn 1 fire drop into turn 2 master at arms, but this card is still relevant throughout the game, so happy to pick it up here. Grenarender is another Grenadin for us. Can get rid of some pesky weapons that might be causing us issues. Get the tribute off, and has synergy with Powder Keg Rider. So happy to have Grenarender here. So here we're between Pyre Elemental and Fiery Fisher. I don't think we need Fiery Fisher. We've got quite a bit of removal at the top end in Downfall, Gun Down, Rampart Arbalest, Final Shot, even Welding Torch. So I don't think Fiery Fisher makes a lot of sense here. Rather just have a second Pyre Elemental so that we can hit that high roll a little bit more often. We'll take the Silverwing Augmenter. Don't know if we'll play it. Manufacture makes more sense than Grit for us. A second Manufacture, doubt we'll play too. Another Drifter is very aggressive, but Mono Drifter deck. Alright, so we ended up in Rakano. Very aggressive deck. Ended up with 21 units, so we're in a pretty good spot there. Probably have some cuts to make at the attachment, spell, and unit area. So first we'll look at the spells. I think 1 manufacturer is fine to go, and then that's probably pretty good. We're kind of at 9 spells, including this Crown Watch standard. As far as attachments, I don't think we really want the Stalwart Shield. Arbalest probably makes it, as does Final Shot, but we'll come back to that one. That one might get cut at the end. And now for units. So as far as 1 and 2 drops, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 1 and 2 drops. So we're likely to hit a 1 or a 2 drop very consistently. I guess 11 if you don't count Master at Arms, since it's not a real 2 drop. But very often we want to get out of the gates very quickly with these 1 and 2 drops. We might not need 4 drifters, but we'll come back to that. I think cutting the Augmenter, cutting the Final Shot makes sense. I think it's still a 17 power deck so that we can curve out consistently. So that means we need 5 more cuts. They can't all come from units, so we have to cut some more spells. Maybe we don't care about this Powder Keg Rider or this Manufacturer. Alright, so 2 more cuts. I think they can be units at this point. And Spirit Blade Stalker maybe doesn't make the most sense in our deck, but it is a way for us to come back if we somehow fall behind. I think cutting 1 Drifter and either a Spirit Blade Stalker or a Pyre Elemental makes the most sense. I think Pyre Elemental is probably pretty good in our deck, so we probably don't want to cut that. Other option is cutting this Groundbreaker too, because how likely are we to hit 3 Fire Influence on turn 4? Yeah, if we get it, it's great, but if we don't, it could just be a dead card in our hand. Yeah, in this case, I think I'm going to cut the Groundbreaker just because of the influence requirements. We want to try and keep it pretty streamlined, and that is the one that is the biggest offender, because by cutting that, we only need 1 Fire Influence and 2 Justice Influence for our whole deck. And yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to get that out of there. So next, we'll get the power added to the deck. We've already got the Crown Watch standard in there. We do want the crest in there, and then we just want the rest of the power. So this is a 10-7 split. I think we're going to go 9-8 just because we do need double justice. Yeah, so I think this is what the final deck is going to look like. Just want to wrap up by saying thank you for joining me for the 7th episode in Drafting to Masters. I appreciate your guys' support. If you are enjoying the content, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've hit that goal of 100 subscribers, but I want to continue to push further and see how much we can't grow the channel just through eternal content. So I appreciate you guys joining me in this journey and showing your support along the way. Next, we'll get into the games video, and before we jump into the games, I'll talk about what I think about this deck, how I think it'll perform, and then we'll hop into the games. See you in the next video.